Hello, today we will try to talk about George Bernard Shaw. George Bernard Shaw, first, I prefer to talk about his biography. Now, let us start. George Bernard Shaw was born in Dublin, in Ireland. And also, and the house still stands until now, though the address became 33 Singer Street, and the residence is marked by the surprisingly understated plaque. Bernard Shaw, author of many plays, he has a lot of works, was born in this house. Shaw's father was cheerful drunk, and the son laws of the faith in the father might have affected his father in general. That's because of his father. In any event, though, he was baptized into the Church of Ireland. He became lifelong scoffer at organized religion, while always remaining profoundly religious thinker. Not just this, we can see, for example, here Bernard Shaw's mother and sister were fine singers, and eventually left Shaw's father to move in with the eccentric music teacher whose name George Vandela Lee. From Lee, Shaw himself learned the voice control that would later stand him in good stead as a public debtor. He also learned a great deal from respected uncles, from one curate at Street Bridge in Dublin. He learned Latin. Another ship's surgeon taught him that the Bible was the greatest peck of flies even invented. Also, George Bernard Shaw, he left secondary school because of boredom. The Latin he had learned early put him too far ahead of his classmates to make the instruction profitable, and by the time the other caught up, he had lost interest and formed poor steady habits. He worked for a farm of land agents before finally leaving Ireland when he was 19 years old, joining his mother and Vandela Lee in London. For a time after arriving in London, Shaw wrote music criticism that Lee had been commissioned to write but turned over to Shaw. Shaw was later to write music criticism that qualified him in the judgment of W. H. Auden and other observers as the finest music critic ever by the time he was 23 years old. Shaw was convinced that he could not return to office work, and he began career as novelist. He wrote 5 novels, none of them which was immediately published. Although later, all but the first novel would find publishers. In around 1884, Shaw made the acquaintance of William Archer at the British Museum. The meeting launched Shaw on his career as a critic, first as an art critic, then as a music critic. and finally as a drama critic for more than 3 years for the Saturday Review. No, while Shaw was struggling novelist, critic, he became a vegetarian and a socialist. Both of these cases were to color his writing for the rest of his life. The conversion to the vegetarianism came when he was 25 years old and under the influence of Percy Bysshe Shelley's idealism. His conversion to socialism came somewhat later, probably through the influence of lecture by Henry George. And subsequent reading of Karl Marx in 1884 show Herbert Patrick and Sidney Webb found the Fabian Society Socialist organization later joined by H. G. Wells. When Shaw's nervousness made him stumble badly during lecture on John Stasher for the society, he determined to make public speaker of himself by promptly planting his soapbox for socialism in Hyde Park. Considering the extraordinary public speaker and the bad show became. It is hard to believe that he began as a young man who was so shy he could not vest a friend with the pacing up and down the street trying to get courage to ring the door bell. That's mean he was very, very shy. In 1892, the independent theater was about to open and needed plays. Shaw quickly finished Woodard's Houses. This is his play, Woodard's Houses, which he had begun 7 years earlier with William Archer. The noted drama critic, however, decided Shaw was not a playwright and was never to change his mind, although Shaw had expected Archer's opinion. At first, he gave the play a second try and began a career that was not continued until 1950. When Shaw was awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1925, he refused at first, but on learning he could donate the money to a fund for popularizing Scandinavian literature. He accepted the award and gave the money away. This award marked the high point for his career, though he was still to write 17 plays. In September in 1950, Shaw seemed on the way to become the ageless Superman. He proclaimed fell from an apple tree he was pruning. He died in November of that year of complication stemming from that injury. His ashes were mingled with his wife's and spread on his garden. So thank you for watching, and I really appreciate it. That's all we have about George Bernard Shaw, and I hope you will be okay with it. Thanks a lot. Please try to make subscribe for this channel.